Hello everyone, I am Crawlers and you are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. I find your lack of faith in this game disturbing because it is fun as balls. Now, well, the maps are super fun, they convey this otherworldly feel very well, I think. Needless to say, they look incredible, the terrain, the snow, the textures, the rocks, the landed shadows, the sounds, the characters, everything. Even the screen wipes are down to the original movie style. The one, um, the side wipes and things like that you had in the original trilogy. I mean, this doesn't feel like a reskinned Battlefield 4 like Hardline did. This thing has a very nice feel to it, and it's gonna give Black Ops 3 a run for its money, I hope. And it's tremendous fun. Even the theme music that goes along with it, the one that the Empire March that goes dum dum da 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 dum dum. It's a lot of fun and you know uh, a great bit of fun. I think this game is. Unfortunately, there are a few things with it, a few small kinks. Like purists will point out that there is no um, server browser in game or otherwise. I mean, the join system is much like Titanfall. It kind of matches up the game for you, and if you want to play with a friend, you just join a party. But otherwise, you can't, choose a server that you're joining to, and that's probably a problem because, I mean, there is no admin to that server, who has the ability to ban people or, set some server settings or things like that. You can play in first or third person, which is actually a surprising bit of fun. You can also emote certain things or say them, by pressing F1, 2, or 3 keys. Your abilities like grenade throw and such are linked to cards, much like they were in Titanfall. You have these cards you can select by pressing 1, 2, or 3 by default, and I honestly mapped these onto my side buttons on the mouse, but I only have two right now. So, maybe I should get a mouse with like an MMO, tons of buttons, 9 buttons on the side. But anywho, I like the system in Titanfall where you select these buttons by pressing B, N, or M to use them. I would suggest you guys remap the keys to something a little more convenient. Basically, if you want to throw a grenade, you press 1 and you use that card. It will go through a short cooldown, and arguably that's too short for the game, and let you throw a grenade. Maybe if you always use a grenade in slot 1, as I do, you might want to map this to the side button on your mouse or the G key on your keyboard. So it's much more instinctive and makes a bit more sense. And much like in Titanfall, where you select the cards before a round, you do the same here. You have this so-called deck or hand that you put 3 cards in, and you have those abilities in the round as it goes on. Also, there are bonus tokens that you can pick up throughout the map near objectives, which will activate basically a fourth ability for you to use things like a rocket launcher or an ATST on the Walker domination map, or on Hoth, or implosion grenades or whatever, what have you. These implosion grenades, by the way, will beep when they land next to you, so you have kind of a chance to get away, but they have quite the radius, so you really need to hoof it when you hear the beep. Another card ability that I love is the one-time use sniper rifle, which is really, really quick cooldown. It's pretty sweet, and as far as I can tell, it's a one-hit kill to the head at just about any distance. Seems to be doing about 90 damage to your body if you don't go for those headshots. The health bar at the bottom of the screen is quite useful in showing you when it will regenerate. Generally, the game isn't afraid to be very visual, almost cartoonish. And speaking of, by the way, the laser fire from the blasters is very visual, and you can always have a rough idea of where the enemy is. And also because of a lack of camo on everybody, and everybody looking the same like they did in Battlefield 3 or 4, you won't have that trouble of telling the enemy apart from the friendlies. Oh, and be careful not to fall into these pits on Solast, because these things will end you but quick, as they are pretty much filled with acid. Now, the blasters don't need to be reloaded, obviously, since they are blasters, but they do overheat, at which point you can fan on them with your hand in this cool animation by pressing R. Another thing that I've noticed about these blasters is their super slow rate of fire. So, even so much so that in fact, using your left mouse button to fire a semi-auto burst most times is a lot better and more precise. This is actually one of the very few things that DICE got wrong in the game. I think in the movies, the stormtroopers' blasters couldn't hit anyone at any distance, and in the game, they are in fact quite good. Another interesting point is that there are in effect no sidearms, so if your blaster overheats, you're pretty much screwed, and you have to either get out of dodge or be killed. So, don't let it overheat. Fire in controlled semi-auto bursts and kind of uh, watch your heating gauge. Another thing is that, much like in Titanfall, you cannot go prone, only crouch. Now, in the game mode drop zone, one of the three game modes available in the beta, you basically have these drop pods that drop at certain locations on Solas that you have to run to and take over by holding E if you're the first one there. Uh, some players think that you just sit next to them, like in Domination. Well, no, you have to hold E to take the pod if you are the first on scene, and then you have to defend the pod for a couple minutes for the enemy from the enemy, so that you can move on to the next pod, and so on and so forth. And in Walker Assault, it's a bigger map with walkers and 40 players, and in the beta it happens on Hoth. And well, this gets interesting. You basically need to fight over the beacons for the rebels to call in airstrikes on the walkers using Y-wing fighters that are not player controlled. They are AI and they are scripted. You can also control fighters on your respective team to blast infantry and take down the walkers like X-wings and TIE fighters and so on. And taking down the walkers or AT-ATs is job one. But unfortunately, as it stands right now, this game mode seems to be quite unbalanced, and the rebels lose most of the times just because they don't know how to win the game. And the game unfortunately doesn't provide tutorials for this either, but more on this in a second. Now, you can get a fighter ability by finding the appropriate token. These are hidden throughout the map, and hidden quite well, I might add. And they aren't easy to see either because they're transparent and you know hidden in the snow. So the same goes with ATSTs and the so-called hero tokens. It's pretty much first come, first serve, which I really don't like when it comes to doling out these special abilities. It means they will be gotten by pure chance and not any kind of skill like objective play and point bonuses. You find it, you get it. Someone else finds it, they get it. And if the player who finds them is completely inept, then they will just have wasted an ability. So It's not really objective play based. In fact, it's not anything based, it's just pure luck. And the hero tokens are basically a playable Luke Skywalker and a playable Darth Vader on their respective teams. And they can do epic battles all by their lonesome, or they can meet each other and do an epic duel. Now, these guys are obviously close to immortal, but they can be killed. They also have a maximum amount of time that you can have them. You can play with them, control them, and they obviously have certain abilities like the force and the lightsaber throw. Except that the last one leaves you somewhat more vulnerable until the lightsaber returns. Now, for example, I like the ATST power up. It's a lot of fun, as are the other power ups, but like the fighters and whatnot, they are very, very hard to find. Now, the fighters, let's take the TIE fighters for example, they have certain abilities of their own, weapons, and so on. For example, F1, 2, and 3 will make the TIE fighter do different maneuvers, barrel rolls, flips, and so on. It's cracking good fun actually, and a good way to get out of dodge when someone is locked in and shooting at you from the S. But again, most people don't know this yet because there seem to be no tutorials on this, and frankly, I also suggest mapping these abilities to some other keys, like maybe the arrow keys or something that will make more sense than the F1 and 2 and 3 keys. So, you'd have a bit better access to them. The TIE fighter also has a heavy ground attack unguided missile, for example, that is, well, an extra bit of fun, but its main objective is, of course, shutting down those pesky rebel ships. Now, here I have a bit of a gripe with these tokens, and as I said, fighters as they are right now. You see, rebels need to take down the AT-ATs somehow, and to do this, the most effective way is to use the snow speeders and the tow cables. But the problem is right now, well, first of all, the players don't even know that this is the right way to win the game mode, and they're approaching this much like a match of Rush in Battlefield 4, turning it into a game of attrition and just killing the other team. And they don't know the right way, as I said, because there are no tutorials, and also because these tokens for the snow speeders are literally impossible to find. They are transparent, they spawn seemingly at random times in the snow, and there's like one or two of them, so there's very, very, very few of them on a huge map with only 40 players, 22 a side. So coming up on one is and catching one and activating it is pretty much snowball's chance in hell. And the only time I found one yesterday, as soon as I spawned it, the round immediately ended, and the rebels, of course, lost. And I was pretty much close to tears because I was the only one actually doing the objective play, that round. And despite my trying and everything, we still lost because no one else on my team has the slightest idea of how to do things. So, in my opinion, this system needs to be reworked somehow. Either the terrible UI needs to be redone where the tokens are no longer transparent, like maybe they're black tokens for the rebels and red for the empire, or they need to spawn in the hangar where you can kind of see them against the background more or less, and maybe not outside, in the huge open road map where there is only 20 people on your team and there's 20 chances of coming up on one and actually finding it. And I would say yet another problem with the snow speeder token is that it needs to be activated and not just picked up like the others, by walking through it, making it a lot more difficult to remember to do when you're under fire. I think DICE needs to redo this somehow, take a look at this mechanic, maybe put out more tokens, as I said, on the map. But it gets a little worse actually. This time, as in all other times, I was the only one on my team trying to take down the walkers with a snow speeder, as that is the most effective way to do this. And while my team ran pretty much screaming and panicking below, away from the oncoming walkers, taking out everything in their path, pretty much brushing the whole team aside. A couple of things are wrong here, it occurred to me. The tow cable, for example, the tow cable maneuver can only be performed in the 80 or 90 or so seconds while the walker is vulnerable. It's sort of semi this mini game where you have to keep the snow speeder at a constant rate of turn with your mouse by keeping it in the zone, that very eyeball in the center of the screen. It also handles like a dump truck right now, unfortunately, so I really hope DICE will buff the handling some of the snow speeder. And as it stands, as I said, no one on the Rebel team knows how to apply it. And here, my idea here is a small animation that I made, just very simple thing. My idea is to use a small tutorial animation in the loading screen when loading for Walker Assault. Maybe have two small tutorial animations side by side, or a tutorial animation with words next to it, as I did right here. One of them, maybe showing rebel, the rebels and the Walker, and the rebels arming the beacons and the Walker getting hit by the Y-wings, as that is, the process and how it goes. And the other animation maybe showing a snow speed or tow cable maneuver, making sure that you clearly show that it can only be performed while the walker is vulnerable, and the red timer on top of it is flashing. Now, another small detail or idea, thanks to Rebel Scum 7 for suggesting this. The walker is so close to the hill that when you pass it on a turn, and obviously the snow speeder needs to make loops around it, you kind of get slammed right into it, right into the hill, which is very aggravating because, for the snow speeder, it's incredibly annoying to wait and find the token once you get killed. And uh, I think what DICE needs to do here is to move the walker a tiny bit away from the hill so that there is a bit more clearance, on the side there. But look, for all my harping on the game, I actually like it. It's fun as hell, especially drop zone, infantry only combat. It certainly has a character of its own. The look, the feel, the sound, the music is really nice. And yes, there are small things. For example, I find Darth Vader's lack of cape behavior disturbing. His voice acting is also rubbish at times, and the animations are a bit crazy with the lightsabers and the wing, wing, wing. It hates me. And the DOT-19 probably needs a nerf right now, as there's just probably right now there's just no need to use any other blaster, as this one is amazing. Its rate of fire is above all else, and it puts down an immense amount of stopping power. Also, the turrets and the stationary guns need their turn rate reduced quite a bit, I think, as it is hard to control when you're hopping from a high sensitivity gameplay in the infantry, and then you just kind of fly side to side of the screen in the turrets. Let's see what else. Oh, the sights on the third person seem to be off. For example, like ATSTs, they seem to be uh, below the actual impact point of the missiles and such, and the lasers. Another small gripe I have with the game, as I said, is that the single player and the co-op is quite bad. And I mean, I was really looking forward to, playing a game of co-op in Battlefront with a friend or something like that. And I played it alone in single player, and I mean, it's just really, really bad. It disappointed me so much. It, it's to the point that I don't really want to go back and play it again after I played it once. It does not resemble Battlefield 3 co-op at all. I mean, not in the slightest. It really stinks. It's just brainless, shooting at advancing, at brainless AI that's advancing on your position. And there's just no goals, no stealth element to it, no progression throughout the level, no nothing. And, you just have to fight off waves and waves of dumbass AI from a corner, and that's it. I mean, there is no real strategy to it at all. You just kind of stupidly bounce around in your jetpack and shoot at anything that moves, and that's it. So it's not really something I am looking forward to in this game at all. Another very small issue I have is that you cannot do a melee attack on the move, and this is regrettable because while I understand the mechanics and maybe the hit drag issues here or something like that, it also it takes away from the flow of the game when you kind of press the melee button and you suddenly stop dead in your tracks. So that's not very convenient and it doesn't really look good. Also, another thing is you cannot change the UI scaling like in Battlefield 3 or 4, where you mm, kind of move the HUD closer to the center of the screen if you want like the minimap not be stretched out on a ultra wide monitor, which I have now, which is 21 by 9. And also weirdly on some rocks, collision models seem to be off, where I peered over some to fire the cycle rifle, and it went and impacted the rock, although I clearly saw the enemy. So just saying, these collision models need to be cleaned up. uh, Overall, I'm seriously liking this game, and you know I'm actually looking forward to buying it. I think buying, barring some unforeseen fuck up by EA. But kudos to DICE, which in all honesty managed to not let us not let down the massive amounts of hype for this game and fall short of expectations, especially something as giant as Star Wars. So thanks for watching. Please rate and share this video that helps my channel grow. Leave me a comment below. Tell me what you think about the game and do you agree with my points or not. And check out my other videos at the end of this one. And remember, in Soviet Russia, YouTube subscribes you.